If you're getting close to retirement, let me ask you something. Have you ever caught yourself wondering, will I have enough? I know I did. In fact, I think I spent years asking myself that very same question. Hi, I'm Claire. Retirement didn't just happen. We're talking years of planning, constantly learning, and making some really tough financial decisions. Decisions that meant saying no to things today, so I could hopefully say yes to a very different kind of life tomorrow. There were so many moments where I sat there wondering, have I saved enough? Am I doing the right thing? What if I get this wrong? Look, it definitely wasn't something I woke up one morning and suddenly decided to do. Looking back, every one of those decisions mattered. They gave me something I had worked so hard for, the freedom to choose what I wanted life to look like next. And for a long time, I honestly thought getting the financial part right was the hardest step. But I was wrong. And honestly, retirement turned out to be everything I'd hoped it would be. I finally had time to travel, to learn new things, to look after my health, even to start volunteering. For the first time in years, life slowed down, and I loved that. But after a while, I noticed something. It wasn't that I was bored. Far from it. I just had this quiet feeling that there was still another chapter waiting for me. You know, I don't think this happened all at once. Looking back, I think I'd always known there was going to be another chapter. I just had no idea what it was going to look like. So I started exploring. Different ideas, different possibilities. Some were interesting, some not so much. But nothing quite felt right. What I was really looking for was a way to make this next phase of life truly matter. I wanted to keep learning. I wanted to stay mentally engaged. And I wanted to make meaningful use of the freedom I'd worked so hard to earn. And that's when I found myself asking a completely different question. Maybe the real preparation wasn't just about my finances. Maybe it was about preparing myself. That question stayed with me for quite a while. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized something I'd never really stopped to consider before. I'd spent years preparing financially for retirement, but I hadn't spent nearly as much time preparing myself. I think I'd always assumed that once I felt financially secure, everything else would somehow fall into place. Looking back, I don't think life works quite like that. Financial security gave me something incredibly valuable. It gave me freedom. And I'm deeply grateful for that. But here's what I wasn't expecting. Freedom, by itself, doesn't tell you what to do with your life. That's something I realized I had to discover for myself. That's when I stopped asking, what should I do next? And started asking much better questions. What still excites me? What do I still want to learn? Where can my experience still make a difference? I wasn't looking for the perfect answer. I was simply looking for something that felt true to who I was. Something that would let me keep growing and make meaningful use of the freedom I'd worked so hard to earn. Because somehow, that just felt like the right way to live this next chapter. Once I'd figured that much out, I wish I could tell you everything suddenly became crystal clear. It didn't. If anything, I think I had even more questions than before. So I started exploring. I looked at all kinds of possibilities. I even tested the idea of going back to work, just to see how it felt. On paper, some of those opportunities made perfect sense. But every time I imagined stepping back into that old life, something deep down just didn't sit right. Looking back, I don't think I was trying all that hard. Deep down, I think I'd already made peace with leaving corporate life behind. It wasn't that I was running away from it. I was simply ready to build something different. So I kept exploring. Different ideas, little possibilities, just trying to understand what genuinely excited me and what didn't. And then there was one idea that just kept coming back: YouTube. Not because I thought it would make me rich, and certainly not because I thought it would be easy. Actually, I thought the exact opposite. The truth is, I knew almost nothing about making videos. The technology felt overwhelming. I wasn't even sure I had anything worth saying. And if I'm really honest, I procrastinated for quite a while. But there was something about it that just wouldn't leave me alone. It brought together so many things I'd always loved: learning, storytelling, sharing experiences, and hopefully helping someone else through something I'd already been through. So one day, I stopped thinking about it and simply began. To be honest, I think starting was far more important than knowing exactly where it would lead. And honestly, that's really how wealth, wisdom, and well-being came about. I certainly didn't start this because I thought I had all the answers. And let me tell you, I definitely didn't think starting a YouTube channel was going to be easy. For me, it simply became a place to explore what a meaningful second act can look like. And hopefully, creating a space where we can ask those tough questions and learn together. If you're wondering whether I've figured it all out, honestly, not even close. YouTube has been far more challenging than I ever imagined. It's not just making videos. It's learning how to tell a story, understanding the people you're trying to help, learning new technology, and constantly asking yourself, how can I make this just a little bit better? But you know what? Even knowing what I know today, I'd still do it. Of course, I'd love it if one day this grew into a much bigger platform. One that reaches and helps many more people. I can't promise that'll happen, but I can promise I'll keep showing up and keep learning. I've realized something through all of this. We spend so much of our lives waiting until everything feels certain. But I'm not sure life works that way. Sometimes you begin with conviction and clarity comes afterwards. Looking back, I think that's true of far more than just YouTube. There's something else I'm learning too. It's very easy to let one good thing slowly crowd out all the other good things. Right now, this channel is asking a lot of me. And honestly, I'm okay with that for a season. I'm okay with this intense season because I'm building something important, but I also want to protect the balanced life I've intentionally created. I still want to travel. I still want to dance. I still want to do my yoga and water aerobics. I still want to keep learning, be committed to my volunteering work. Enjoy time with family and friends, continue growing in my faith, and stay on top of my investment journey. Those things aren't distractions from retirement. They're part of the life I've intentionally chosen to build. So maybe the challenge isn't finding one thing that gives life meaning. Maybe it's learning how all the important pieces fit together. Financial security gives us freedom. Purpose gives us direction. But it's our health, our relationships, our curiosity, our faith, and the simple joys of everyday life that make the journey feel rich. Looking back, I don't think retirement is about stepping away from life. I think it's an invitation to live it more intentionally, to keep growing, to keep learning, to keep contributing in whatever way feels true to you, and to never lose sight of the people and the moments that make life worth living. If today's conversation resonated with you, I'd really like to hear your story too. What does a fulfilling second act look like for you? Or what's been the biggest question on your mind as you think about retirement? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you'd like to continue exploring these conversations together, I invite you to join our community by subscribing. Until next time, keep exploring.